Yeah. So, hi all. Very good evening. Um, can someone confirm whether my voice is audible and is my screen visible?
Yes, sir, visible.
Okay. Thanks, Saurabh. So, let me first introduce myself. So, good evening, all. I'm Ritvis. I'm a PhD student and a Prime Minister's Research Fellow in the Department of Computer Science, IIT Madras. And I'll be taking these weekly live sessions for this course, Artificial Intelligence Search Methods for Problem Solving. So basically, the structure of these live sessions will be like that. For every week, so there are 12 weeks of worth of course materials in this course, right? You might have already seen it. And every week we'll have one live session wherein we'll be discussing questions related to that particular week's content, right? For example, this is the first week, so we'll discuss some questions that are related to week 1. Similarly, next week we'll discuss some questions related to week 2, so on and so forth till for 12 weeks we'll continue these live sessions. And some common doubts that people have had in the previous live sessions, I just want to clarify that. So first of all, this is not a compulsory session, so no attendance will be counted from this session. And uh, if this timing doesn't work for you, or if you're not available at this particular time on any day, you can feel free to excuse yourself from the meeting, because all these live sessions will be recorded and uploaded on YouTube, and the links will be shared with you along with the links of the slides and the questions that we will be discussing. So any other doubts that or queries that any of you that might have before we get started?
सर आप वो फिर से रिपीट कर सकते हो वो अभी ज्वाइन हुआ मतलब
Ashu, can you please speak a bit louder? I can't hear you properly.
सर आप अभी जो मतलब बात कर रहे थे वो फिर से रिपीट कर सकते हो मतलब अभी मैं ज्वाइन हुआ उसमें
Sure. So basically, what I was saying is
थैंक
that,
यू
uh, yeah. So I was just welcoming all of you to the live sessions, and I was just explaining that the purpose of this live sessions is basically to discuss questions related to the course content that you will be listening to the lectures of Professor Deepak Khemani on artificial intelligence search methods for problem solving. And in these live sessions, we will be discussing some questions that will potentially help you to solve the assignments, the weekly assignments that you'll be having. And so these questions are basically from previous runs of this course. Okay. What I mean by previous runs is that, so you are currently enrolling in this course in 2023, right? This course has also been offered in the last year and the year before that, right? So we'll be discussing some of these previous year's questions, and that will hopefully help some of you or all of you to answer your assignments uh, in a better way, or clarify some of your doubts if you have any, right? And some logistical things are that this is an optional session, so you don't have to feel the compulsion to attend it if the timing doesn't work for you. All the sessions will be recorded and they will be shared with you along with the questions and the slides. So yeah, those were the things from my side.
सर ये सेशन भी रिकॉर्डेड होगा अभी जो चल रहा है वो
Yes, this session is also being recorded, and it so for the initial week or so, it might things might be a bit delayed because we'll have to set things up. But by the second week, hopefully everything will be sorted, and you will be getting the links and the recordings as and when the sessions happen.
अभी मतलब सेशन स्टार्ट नहीं हो अभी नेक्स्ट वीक से स्टार्ट होगी सेशन
Sessions, it has, so today is the first session. Today we'll be discussing some of the questions from the first week of the course. But
नहीं
if
मतलब
you
सर जो रिकॉर्डेड उसका मतलब सेशन चालू होने वाला था वो अभी नेक्स्ट
क्लियर
मतलब
आवाज नहीं आ रही सर।
Okay, so a few doubts. Uh,
वहाँ पे कुछ कुछ कनेक्ट किया ले पर्ची कटती है हाँ यार आपने कैसे किया वहाँ का
so
वो बाकी
firstly,
के
I
बाद
will
अच्छा
request
पानी
all of
बनता
you
है
to
ना
please mute yourself if you don't have a question or a doubt, because that will help with the recording. So as I said that Yeah, Ashu, I will address your doubt. You don't have to worry about it. Uh, I'm just clarifying a few things so that we are on the same page for the structure of this live sessions. Okay, so basically, okay, so this is the first live session. Okay, and we have started the recording, Ashu, to answer your query. And once the session is ended, I will upload this recording on YouTube, and the NPTEL team will share that link of that recording with all of you, irrespective of whether you attended the session or not. Okay.
जो आपके मतलब रिकॉर्डिंग जो सेशन 23 से स्टार्ट हो गया है वो अभी मतलब लेट हुआ है, वो अभी नेक्स्ट अगस्त हो गया, ऐसा मैं पूछ रहा हूँ।
Ashu, I'm not sure which recording you're referring to because this is the first session and there hasn't been any recording of live session before this. If
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को इधर को मतलब जो कोर्स मैंने मतलब एनरोल किया वो कोर्स का जो मतलब वीक वाइज आप जो मतलब है रिकॉर्डिंग वो उसका मैं बात कर रहा हूँ।
the lectures are already recorded. Professor Khemani's lectures are already recorded and they will be put up on the Swayam website, Swayam portal every week. Okay.
मतलब फर्स्ट वीक का अपलोड हो गया है।
हाँ. I'll just share my screen with you. Maybe that will resolve your query. Okay. So if you go to the Swayam website, okay, the course page, see on the left hand side, there is this week content, right? Week 0 content, week 1 content. So if you just click on one of these, it will take you to the lecture recordings. Okay, this is the lecture recording. You can play it and listen to it as per your convenience. And
और इसके एग्जाम का मतलब जो लिंक है मतलब वो मेरा ओपन नहीं हो रहा है सर, वो एग्जाम लिंक का जो फॉर्म भरने का है ना वो।
okay, so another couple of things that I would like to clarify. So thanks for bringing that up, Ashu. Uh, So in this live session, we'll only be concerned with discussing the questions. If you have any exam related doubts, I will encourage that you post your doubts on the discussion forum and the NPTEL team will be able to handle it. And the reason I'm saying this is that I am in no way involved with the exam and preparation and the question papers and the logistics of the exam. Okay, so I have no idea what's going on with the exams. So I'll once again show you. There is this option called ask a question. Okay, this thing. So if you just click on it, this will lead you to a discussion forum. Yeah, so some of you have already asked some questions over here. So you can post your questions using this new conversation option. Okay, and all the questions related to exam and all will be answered over here. Okay. Santosh, to repeat my point, I am not aware of the process of exam registration and all. So as I said, it will be better if you post those doubts on the discussion forum. In this sessions, we'll just be discussing some questions related to each week's content. Okay, so Mohit, is my voice better now?
Okay, sir.
Okay, so all right, so let's see. Okay, in that case, let's then get started with the questions. Or do you all have still have some doubts? Okay. So Kushagra is asking where to access this discussion forum. So Kushagra, if you go to your Swayam portal, right? So if you go to your Swayam portal where you have registered for the course, right? There you will on this red panel at the top, you will see a number of options. Okay, there's an announcements page, there's an about the course page, there's also an ask a question option over here, right? If you click this ask a question, that will lead you to this discussion forum. Okay. I hope that answers your query. And for the people who have joined in later, once again, to repeat myself, um, these are optional sessions, so you don't have to worry about attendance. Okay. In all these sessions, we'll be discussing questions related to every week's content. These questions will be from previous years, and we'll hope that these discussing these questions will help you solving the assignments. Okay. And yeah, as I was saying, all the sessions will be recorded and the recordings will be shared with you in time. Just be patient for the first week. From the second week, everything will be sorted out.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
बस मेरे को सर ये पूछना था कि आपने मतलब जो ये असाइनमेंट दिया था उसका सबमिट करने का डेट ओवर हो चुका है?
Nahi. So yeah, thanks again for pointing that out, Ashu. So every week you will have an assignment, okay, and that will have a due date. So if you go to the first week assignment, so week 0 doesn't have any assignment, okay. If you go to week 1, in the end you will see this quiz for week 1, okay. And if you go to that quiz, you will see the due date mentioned over here. The due date is 2023-8-9. Okay, so you still have some time.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, a couple of more doubts. So we need, yes, it's recommended that you go through the video of the that corresponding week before attending the session. It's okay if you're not able to, it's not an issue, but it's recommended. Okay. So Jishnu is asking whether week 0 classes are important. Jishnu, yes, I will recommend that please go through the week 0 classes. They will give you some idea about what the course exactly is about. Okay, it will give you an introduction to the concept that you're going to learn in the later weeks of the course. In terms of assignment, week 0 doesn't hold that much importance. Week 0 doesn't have any assignment or weightage towards your final score. So yeah, that's that. And to answer Ankit's question, any WhatsApp group also, I would suggest all of you post your queries in the discussion forum itself. Okay, because WhatsApp group will be unofficial and it will not be. So basically, NPTEL or me or any of the course faculty will not be taking responsibility of the WhatsApp group. But if you post your questions on the discussion forum, they will be for sure addressed by the TAs, the teaching assistants. Okay, so I will suggest that you post your questions on the discussion forum.
Sir, one more query from this side. This is Vineet Arora from Ishan College of Engineering.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So, but I haven't, when I was registering for exam, I'm referring to the certificate exam, like which will I have to appear in October. So, what I have done while registering is that I have asked not to disclose my name to my college where I'm a faculty. So is that okay with the NPTEL that I'm not agreeing upon to disclose my name to the college because my college is already a local chapter?
Okay, so thanks for your question, Vineet. And I'll once again repeat what I was saying a bit earlier, maybe before you joined. So, the problem is that I am in no way involved with the exam process, the exam conduction, or the exam questions preparation. Okay, so I have no clue about the logistics related to the exam or the exam registration. So it's better if you ask this doubt on the discussion forum, or if you don't want to ask it publicly, you can also see that on the discussion forum there is one of the lead TAs of the course, Bhaskaran sir. You'll see he has been replying to some of your queries. You can write to him, and he will be able to help you with these things.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Sure. Okay. Another query is that is the prerequisite assignment compulsory? It's not compulsory but recommended. So basically, doing the prerequisite assignment will help you grasp the concepts better. You know, you'll be able to answer the actual assignment questions more easily. Okay. So I see there are a lot of doubts, but most of them are repetitive. So I'm not going to address all of them now. In case your doubt has remained unanswered, uh, even after this live session, I would encourage you to revisit the recording of this live session, and most probably, or it will be addressed if you just revisit the recording towards the initial part. Okay. All right. So, yeah, one other thing I would like to request is that uh, only so you all have the you all are welcome to unmute yourself and ask any questions or doubt whenever you want to, but then it will be helpful for me as well as for the recording that if you keep yourself muted if you don't have a question or doubt, right? Unless otherwise it will interfere with the recording, and it won't be a good experience for people who are watching the recording later on, and also for people who are attending the live session currently, right? Okay, so let's
Yeah, one question. Where we can get these recordings?
okay, so Dr. Ashwini, thanks for your question
Yeah.
again. Once again, I have addressed this doubt before, so I'll just repeat myself quickly that uh, once this recording has been done, let's say today's recording, I will upload it on a YouTube channel. Okay, and I will share that link with the NPTEL team. The NPTEL team will then communicate the link to all of you, irrespective of whether you were attending the live session or you were not attending the live session. For the first week, maybe things will be a bit delayed because we have to set things up. But from the second week, everything should be sorted out, and you will have access to the links as and when the recordings happen.
One more query, Mr. Kamal,
Sure.
regarding like if I miss a session, like every week you will be conducting this live session,
Yeah.
and due to some reasons or the other, if I miss a particular session, is it going to affect my credibility of getting the certificate after
No,
completion of the course?
in no way.
Like,
It
in
won't
no.
affect in any way. This is a purely optional session. If you have time, and if you have if this time works out for you, and if there's no other like thing that is engaging you, you're always welcome to attend the session. But if you're not able to, you can always revisit the recording. So there's no compulsion.
Link of the session, like live session recording of the live session, will be made available at my email ID, I suppose.
It will be posted on the Swayam portal. So
Okay,
yeah,
fine.
yeah,
Thank you.
it will
Thank
be
you so much.
available to everyone. Okay.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, will we get a link of session means before session has started
Yeah, for sure.
on mail?
On mail, I'm not sure, but for sure and if you go to the announcement section of your Swayam portal, okay, you see there's an announcement section over here. So every week, they'll post an announcement, and yeah, I think this announcement should also reach your registered email. So yeah, you should get it on your email as well. Every week before the live session,
Okay, sir.
you will get a reminder.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sure.
Hello, Kamal. Nimesh here.
Yeah, Nimesh, please go ahead.
Where this downloaded video will be uploaded on portal at which location?
So I'll show that to you. Give me a moment. Okay, so you see this left panel, right? Where all these options are given: prerequisite assignment, week 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth. Uh, so maybe in a week or two, there'll be another section added to it called problem solving session. And under that section,
Hello.
the links will be shared.
Got it. Got it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening.
Sir, if there is any assignment, any question in the assignment that we don't know about that,
Mhm.
so how could I make it solve?
So for that, I would suggest that you go through the week's recordings, you practice the prerequisite assignment or the practice assignments if there are any, or we'll also be discussing some questions that will be relevant for each week, right? So we'll be having each week's live session will be based on that week's course content. So those questions might also be helpful for you to solving the assignment questions. And after the due date is passed, the solutions will also be shared with you on the discussion forum.
Hello,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Please go ahead.
Hello. Actually, I want to ask that is there a timeline to submit those assignments, or we can do according to our time,
You
or what?
can, there is a particular due date for every quiz. So basically, I'll show you one example of this quiz week 1. Okay, there is a due date for this quiz. You can do that as many times and submit this assignment as many times as you want before this due date. Okay, once this due date has passed, then you won't be able to submit this particular assignment. Similarly, for every
Oh,
week, you'll have a separate due date.
so it will
So
be weekly assignments.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
yeah, Kamal Nimesh
Thank you.
here.
Yeah, Nimesh.
So multiple submission is allowed, right?
Yeah,
Last one will be counted.
any number of submissions before the due date you can make.
And last one will be counted.
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
So,
Yeah.
is this course also allows us to get on-site practical sessions like coding, or only theoretical part of the pure artificial intelligence?
This is more theoretical. Okay, so we will be discussing some practical things, some algorithms, but this is more of a theoretical course. You can actually go to the Swayam portal and look at the course content. You can go to about the course, and there you'll find the syllabus for the whole course and also some suggested books, I suppose. Yeah, so you'll find the every week's layout over here. Okay, so you can go to the topics over here, and some books and references are also provided over here.
मतलब इसमें प्रैक्टिकल मतलब कम रहेगा, ज़्यादातर थ्योरेटिकल ही रहेगा.
Yeah, basically the only thing that you'll have to solve per week are the assignments. Okay, and if you're registering for the exam, you'll have to appear for the exam.
जो असाइनमेंट हमें मिलेगा उसके मार्क काउंट होके मतलब जो एग्जाम.
Yeah, all the assignments will be counted towards your final score, if I remember correctly. But what exactly is the equation for that? That I'm not sure. So that you'll have to ask on the discussion forum.
So material will be provided on mail or somewhere exactly.
So the lecture videos will be available on the Swayam portal. Okay, so if you go to this, just give me a moment. Yeah, so every
Sir, when
week
will you start discussing the problem, sir?
I will. I will. Sorry for the delay, but I just wanted to clarify all the doubts before we move on to the questions. Okay.
Yeah, sir, is this session is only till 8 o'clock or it may extend, sir?
I will prefer to keep it at till 8 o'clock because then uh, we all have other things to do as well, right? But if it's really necessary, I don't mind extending the session. Okay, so just to
Hello,
quickly
sir.
address the doubt, here you'll
Hello.
find all the course content, okay? And yeah, so last couple of doubts maybe, and then we'll start the session and the questions.
Sir, what I request is anything we have to solve in the assignment session, that kind of problem maximum you concentrate in this session so that it will be easy for solving the assignments, sir.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I will try my
Okay.
best to incorporate that feedback into
Yeah,
the live sessions.
thank you, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
so
what is the process of assignments and exam? Is online or offline? Please tell, sir.
Akshat, I would recommend you revisit the recording. I've addressed this in the initial part of the live session, and if you still have doubts, you can always post your queries on the discussion forum. Okay, so sorry if I'm not addressing any more doubts. Let's move on to the questions now. Otherwise, the session will keep going and everyone will keep having doubts. But yeah, most of them I think I have addressed. So now let's move on to the questions. Okay. So first of all, have how many of you have watched the first week videos or week 0 videos? Okay,
I
quite a few
finished
of
off
you.
week 0 only. Still,
That's
I'm
fine.
now started at week 1.
Sure, that's not an issue. So quite a few of you have, and if you have, then you would have noticed that the first week is mostly just an introduction to the history of artificial intelligence or some of the. It's not something something very new, right? It's just more like an introduction. So your assignment will be mostly based on recall based questions, which is some which are basically questions that you can just revisit the lecture recordings and very easily answer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to discuss some questions to give you a flavor of the course, basically the different topics that you might be encountering throughout the 12 weeks of the course. And you'll also see the structure of the questions. Basically you'll be having MCQ and multiple select questions, so you'll be getting familiarized with those kind of things. Yeah, that's it. So let's get started with the first question. Okay, so this is the first question basically. So we have two states given over here. Okay, first is an initial state, and then we have to do some actions to reach this final state. Okay, on the right hand side, what these actions are, so basically you have a robot. Okay, assume that the robot has only one hand. Okay, and what the robot can do is it can pick up any one of these boxes in its hand. Okay, that is one action. It can put down that box that is on the table or on top of another box. That is another action. Okay.
Sir, in this session is speaking in Hindi.
See, so Hindi might not be. I don't mind speaking Hindi, but it might everyone might not understand it, right? So that's why I'm restricting myself to English, because the medium of instruction of the course is also English. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I hope you understand. All right, so I'll just quickly show you the actions that can be performed. So suppose this is the table. Okay, there are some different boxes kept on the table like this. And suppose this is the robot's hand. Okay, so first action that it can do is pick up a box from the table. Okay, so pick up from the table. I'm just calling that pick up. Suppose it decided to pick up this box, so it will just pick up that box. The second option that it can, a second action that it can do is, suppose it already had a box in its hand and he wishes to put it down on the table. So that will be a put down action. Okay, so very sorry for my terrible handwriting, but I guess you guys understand it. Okay, so the third action is basically when you don't pick up from the table, you pick up from the top of another box. Suppose you want to pick up this box. So this is placed on top of another box, right? This one. So that will be called an unstack operation or unstack action. And the last action would be a stack action, where you want to place a box that is in the robot's hand on top of another box. Let's say this. So that will be called a stack action. Okay, so these are the four actions that this robot can do. And now you have to tell which of from among these four options, which of the actions are valid and invalid. Okay, so what do you think? Look carefully at the box numbers and the actions, whether the robot can perform that action based on the things that we just discussed. Okay, so
Option C, stack Y on G.
B.
Stack Y on D.
Yes, option C is the correct one, stack Y on G.
okay, so there might be multiple options correct as well, and some of you are pointing out a couple of options. So let's do one thing. Let's go through all of these options one by one and see whether they are valid or not. Okay. So the first is a put down M action. Okay. But you see, M is on top of this box I. Okay. M is not in the robot's hands. So will this be a valid action then?
No.
Yeah.
No.
That's right. Okay. Let's consider option B then. Pick up V. So V is on the table and the robot's arm is empty. So will this be a valid option then?
No.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Absolutely not, because V is already has to be at the base of
At the
the
bottom.
table.
No. See, don't consider about moving to the final state as of now. Just think about whether this is a valid action or not.
Valid ones.
Valid.
Pick up these valid.
Valid action.
Yeah, it is a valid
It is
action.
valid.
Right. It is a valid action. Yeah. Okay. Now what about option C?
It is not valid.
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 Okay.
Option D is valid.
Option D
Yeah,
valid.
option D is valid. Option C is not valid because again Y is on top of W, right? So how can you already it's already stacked on something. In order to stack it on something else, you first will have to pick it up, right? So that's so you can't stack it. So C is not correct. And unstack R from O, that is something that you can do. Okay. So as some of you pointed out, B and D are the valid actions and A and C are not valid actions. Okay. Uh,
In this, we are considering only the initial operations, not the intermediate that we have to perform.
so
Like
here,
for if we consider the intermediate operation, then at some point we have to pick M itself because I and B are below it.
yeah. So here we are not concerned about moving from the initial to the final state. Okay, I just told you the problem setting that we have one initial state and we have a final state. But this particular question is asking you whether the four options that are given to you, these are valid or not. Okay, so in the next question, maybe we'll think about what are the intermediate
Sir, I have
steps
one
and
question.
something that we should be considering.
Sir, I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead, Ashu.
In this first question, I am not understand actually the actual concept.
So there's nothing. So I'm not going to get too much into the details because you will visit these things through the course of uh, the course, basically through lecture recordings that Professor Kemani will teach you about. Here I'm just giving you a flavor as an example of things, the kind of problems that you might expect as and when these concepts are introduced in the lectures, right? So here you have a simple setting where you have a set of boxes that are kept on a table. Okay, some are kept on the table, some of the boxes are kept on top of other boxes, and you imagine that you have a one-armed robot, okay, that can only pick up boxes and keep boxes on top of the table or on top of other boxes. And based on this specific set of rules, because robot is not intelligent like us, right, or like humans, it will only perform the options or actions that we tell it to. And we are telling that there are only four possible actions that it can perform. We have to decide which of the four options given to us are valid or invalid based on the rules that we have set for the robot. Okay. Yeah, Siddharth, you had a doubt.
Okay, means initial state is joined last to final state.
Yeah, maybe this will get clearer when we move to the second question. Okay, so I'll recommend you to just wait for a minute or so, and hopefully that will resolve your queries.
Sir,
Yes.
can you please repeat C and D options?
You want me to discuss options C and D again?
Yes.
Okay, thanks for that. So basically, in order to stack something on top of another thing, what you need to do is you need to first have that thing in the robot's hand, right? The robot won't be able to stack something or put something on top of another thing if he doesn't have that thing in its hand, right? So stack y on g is not valid because we see that in the initial state y is on top of w, and in order to stack y on top of anything, the robot first has to pick it up, right? So stack y on g is not a valid option. If you had a situation where y was in the hands of the robot and g was there was nothing on top of that box that on top of which that you were trying to put it, which is g in this case, then it would have been valid. Whereas in case of option D, uh, see, what you want to do is you want to unstack the box R from O. And here you can easily do that because the robot's arm is empty, there's nothing on the robot's arm, and R also doesn't have anything on top of it. So the robot can just simply move to that particular stack on the leftmost side. It can pick up R, and that will perform the unstack operation.
It's like if I say unstack I from B will be an invalid action, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, that's perfectly correct. Yeah. Okay. Any further queries about this particular question?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, the same condition applies to when you unstack Y from W, right? Because robot end is empty.
Uh-huh.
It can be done also, right? We can unstack Y from W.
We can, but the options that we are given is not unstack Y from W, right? We just have to decide whether the 4 options that are given to us, A, B, C, D, whether they are valid or not. There can be a lot of actions that the robot can perform, but we don't have to worry about all of them. We just have to worry about the things that are given to us.
Sir, I have a small question. Can the robot pick up all the blocks at once if
No,
we are given an option?
it can only pick up one box at a time.
Oh. So
Yeah.
if a stack consists of more than 2 to 3 boxes, the robot, even given instructions to all, cannot pick up it all.
It will have to do it one step at a time. That's how it will
Okay.
have to perform it. Okay. Okay. Anything else? I think this will get a bit more clearer in the second question because there we are going to actually move from the initial state to the final state. Okay. So let's move on to the second question then. Okay, so now what we are doing is earlier we were not talking about how much time each action takes for the robot. Okay, so now we put that another as another restriction. Okay, so we say that the pickup and unstack actions take 2 units of time. Okay, so this one, let's say it takes 2 seconds for the robot. Okay, pick up and unstack. Whereas put down and stack, each of them take 1 second of time. Okay, I'll tell you why this is why we are concerning ourselves with time. Okay, so we are just assuming seconds. Okay, this could be anything. It could be minutes, hours, days, whatever, any unit of time. That is what is mentioned in the question here. Uh, Pick up and unstack actions take 2 units of time, and put down and stack actions take 1 unit of time. Then what is the shortest time in which you can reach the final state? And you can't take any breaks in between. So basically what we have to solve, what we have to do to solve this question is we have to write down all the actions that the robot needs to perform in order to reach this final state from this initial state. I'll give you a hint. So you see that V is already at the bottom, right, on the table. So we don't need to worry about V, the box V. What we need to worry about is this I box. Okay, so how will we reach the I box? In order to reach the I box, we first have to remove M.
Pick up M. Yeah, pick up M
Exactly.
and
So it won't be pick up M, it will be unstack M because M is already kept on another box, right?
yeah, I got it.
Yeah. So we'll have to proceed in that manner, and yeah, and so I would encourage all of you to take some time, maybe 5 minutes or so, to try to list all the actions that the robot has performed or has to perform to reach the final state. And then I'll show you the solution and then we can verify and discuss. Okay. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to try to solve this thing on your own. All right, so some of you have already shared the answers in the chat box, and I'm very happy to see that all of you have shared the answers are correct. It will take 24 units of time. How? Let's discuss that now. Okay, so first what the robot will have to do is, as we discussed, it will have to remove M, right? So it will unstack M from I, right? That is the first action that you have listed over here. That will take 2 units of time. Now, since we have unstacked M from I, the robot's hand will have M in it, right? And in order to access I, it will have to first put down M somewhere, right? So it will put down M. That will take 1 unit of time. Next, it will unstack I from B, and it will keep it on top of V, right? It will stack I on top of V. So that is the fourth action, stack I on V, again taking 1 unit of time. Now we have V and I. Next, we are concerned about box B. Okay, and so remember, we have already removed M, we have already removed I, so there's nothing on top of B right now. So we can simply pick up B, right? That will take 2 units of time. That is the fifth action over here. We pick up B and then we stack it on top of I. So we have VIB. Now we are concerned with G. Again, G has nothing on top of it, right? So we can simply pick up G and stack it on top of B. That's what we are doing over here. Next, we want Y. Again, Y doesn't have anything on top of it, so we unstack Y from W, right? And then we place it, stack it on G. Next, we want O. Now again, to unstack R from to access O, we need to first unstack R, right? So we first unstack R from O, and then we put down R, and then we again pick up O and place it on top of Y. And at the end, we pick up R and then we place it on or stack it on top of O. So if you add all these up, you'll see that it will take 24 units of time, and this is the shortest amount of time that the robot will require to move from the initial to the final state. Okay. Any doubts about
Sir,
this
where
question?
will you put the M, sir? M block.
So good question, Akash. So you see, in the final state, there is no mention of M anywhere, right? You agree with me?
Yes, sir.
That means that M is still lying somewhere on the table. It's just not shown here on the final state, right?
Okay, sir.
Yeah, exactly. Can you identify another box that will be still lying on the table and that we have not used in this final state?
W.
Exactly, yeah. And that is exactly what the third question is actually about. Okay. So question 3 basically asks you is the plan that we just devised, right, which takes 24 units of time, let's call that the best plan. Okay. And we don't care where the block W lies once we have achieved the final state. So this question asks, where would block W be lying after we have executed the best plan? And as you pointed out, some of you pointed out, it will be
Same
lying
place.
on the, simply on the table, like box M. So M and W will be lying on the table. Well, this WIBGR will be the final state. Okay. Yeah, nice observation and nice questions. So to answer your question, Nandana, why are we assuming this 2 units and 1 units? It's just an assumption, okay? It's just an assumption that the question tells us to assume. This could be anything. This could be reversed as well, okay? This could be 5 units, 3 units, anything. You just have to follow the process and add up the times, basically. So to address another doubt, did you teach the theory part before, sir? No, I haven't gone into the theory. For that, I would recommend you watch the lecture videos, because if I just go over the theory again, it will just be a repetitive thing, right? It's already present on the lectures, and it will be much better taught by Professor Deepak Kemani. So yeah, I'll recommend you just revisit the lecture videos, and there you'll find the theory, and here we'll discuss some questions. Okay. Okay, so once again, I'll just like to remind you, since some of you have been posting some links to some groups of WhatsApp or Telegram, I'll just tell you that if you want to join, please feel free. But I'm telling you that these groups are not being monitored by the NPTEL team. So if you join at your own risk. Okay, just putting it out there. Okay, so now let's move on to the fourth question in case there are no doubts. So for the first three questions, we discussed one kind of problem, this robot pick up and put down problem. You'll encounter this later on in the course, but I just gave you an example, okay? Now this particular question is another type of concept that you will encounter maybe in the first week itself, okay? So I'll just maybe zoom in on the image a bit so that it's more clear for you. So basically what this image is that on the left hand side you have a policeman, okay, and this person on the right hand side is asking for directions to some place, okay. So the policeman is describing the way that's clear in his mind, the policeman's mind, okay. So if for example I'd say that if some of you are currently in Chennai like I am, let's say I ask some policeman how do I reach the railway station, and the policeman gives me a perfect way direction to reach, follow this lane and street and you'll reach the uh, railway station. But uh, what he's telling me may not be conveyed to me in the exact manner that he might have intended. And why that is because of the ambiguity in any natural language, okay. So be it English, be it Hindi or Tamil or Telugu, whatever, there is always some ambiguity, and that's what makes the natural language so rich, right? So that is what is happening in the image over here. And now let's get back to the question in hand. The question is, can you recall this picture from the lectures and what context was it used? So I'll just give you a quick minute to go through the options and then we can discuss the solution. Okay, so many of you have already shared your answers. Some of you are saying A, some of you are saying it's B. Let's see. Okay, so the correct answer would be, basically this conveys the idea that there is richness and ambiguity and impreciseness in natural language. Okay, that is what it is trying to say. The other three options are not really valid because we are not trying to convey here that AI is better than humans in some ways. Sure, in some tasks AI is better than humans, but there are also tasks when humans are way better than AI, right? So, and also moreover, this is not something that is conveyed through this particular image, right? So that is not, option B is incorrect. Similarly, option C and D are also not relevant and hence incorrect. Okay. This was a pretty straightforward question, so I am assuming that there'll be no doubts about this one. Any doubts?
Sir, can you explain once again why this is considered related to language problem, language ambiguity in one line?
Sure. So, like the question says, can you recall this picture from the lectures? Okay, so if you haven't already, or if you have and you might not remember, if you revisit the lectures, the exact point at which this particular image is used is to convey the impreciseness and the richness and the ambiguity in natural language. And actually, we'll see a couple of examples to elaborate how exactly is a natural language rich or ambiguous. Okay, by ambiguous, I mean that some person A might say something and it might, a person B who is listening to that might understand that is something that is not exactly what A tried to convey. Okay, we'll see a couple of examples in the coming questions. So to answer your query in brief, basically this is in context of a certain part of the lectures.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so let's now move on to the fifth question. And this is what I was talking about. Okay. the ambiguity and the richness of language. So here we have given one statement, which is Elizabeth told Lily that she scolded her because she was in a bad mood. Now, what do you think? Who this red she and who does this green she refer to? I'll let you think about it. Okay, and then we can have a discussion.
For option B. Okay, so I see quite a few of you have answered, and I think we have covered all the options from the answers that we have received. So, okay. So first of all, I would request that those of you who are raising your hands, you need not raise your hand every time you have a doubt. You can feel free to speak up. Okay. Uh, yeah. So, okay. So let's see. So who all? So let's go through the options one by one. Okay. Let's see. The first option says that Elizabeth and Lily respectively. Okay. So what that means is that Elizabeth told Lily that Elizabeth scolded her because Lily was in a bad mood. Okay. That is what option A says. That seems reasonable, right? But if you also think about option B, that is also reasonable, right? Which basically translates to Elizabeth told Lily that Elizabeth scolded her because Elizabeth was in a bad mood. It might be that Elizabeth herself was in a bad mood, that's why she ended up scolding Lily. That is also right, right? Or it could also refer to option C. It could mean that Elizabeth told Lily that Lily scolded her because Elizabeth was in a bad mood. Yeah, it might be that Lily, let's say that the person who is in a bad mood is misbehaving. So the other person is an elder person, okay, and that's why that person is scolding the smaller person or the kid who is misbehaving or creating some mischief. That could be another interpretation of the same thing, right? So basically, the point that this question tries to convey is that there can be multiple interpretations of the same statement, right? So, so those of you who have said that option D is correct, you are right. We cannot say for sure who does she and she refer to for this particular statement? Okay, any doubts about this question?
But sir, actually Elizabeth is saying to Tilly, right? So she is saying about her. So why we are not taking it Elizabeth?
Okay, so let's go to the statement. Thanks for your question. So the statement goes like Elizabeth told Lily that she scolded her. Okay, now let's look at this first she, which is colored in red. That can refer to Elizabeth and that can also refer to Lily, right? That's how this
Sir, can you please once again explain that why the option will be cannot say and why not option B?
Sure, I'll go through all the options one by one again to address both your queries. Okay, so let me actually use the Jamboard. That will maybe help a bit. Okay, so I'll just write the short form of the statement that was given to us. Okay, so I'm just writing Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what is the question? Told Lily. Okay, so I'm just writing this as told. Okay, Elizabeth told Lily that she scolded her. So I'm just writing scolded like this. Okay, this is just a short form notation. Okay, just for the sake of it, she scolded her because she was in a bad mood, so on and so forth. Now this particular she, this could refer to Lily, right? And okay, let me remove that. Let me go through option wise. The first option was Elizabeth and Lily respectively, right? In which case this she's will be referring to Elizabeth and this she will be referring to Lily. So here what we mean is Elizabeth is telling Lily that Elizabeth scolded Lily because Lily was in a bad mood. Does
So
that make
how
sense?
come will that happen? Because Elizabeth definitely scolded her because she was in a bad mood.
But
I
that's
didn't
not
get the point.
yeah, that's the point. That the point is that the language, which is English in this case, that is ambiguous. It can have multiple interpretations. We'll see another example of a sentence where the ambiguity is not there. Okay, so I'm not saying that every sentence in English or any particular natural language will be ambiguous. There are sentences where it will be sure, very sure about what the meaning of the or the interpretation of the sentences. But there are some sentences like this one where there could be multiple interpretations. This could also be referring to Elizabeth, in which case it could mean that Elizabeth scolded Lily because Elizabeth herself was in a bad mood. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Okay.
I have one question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, so like in questions like these,
Mm-hmm.
if we consider that if a machine is to approach this, then like I agree with whatever you say, I completely understood it.
Mm-hmm.
But like we being humans, like we also have some inherent knowledge about the language in which it is written. Therefore, most of I think are interpreting it as being. So if
Yeah.
such types of questions are put forth, like how are we supposed to answer as like a machine would do, or as a human we would respond?
Okay. So I understand your point, but yeah, definitely on the machine point, that machine will be confused. But I think that even humans will be a bit confused, right? Uh, if we are used to interpreting sentences in a certain way, we may be biased towards a certain interpretation of a sentence. But if you really think deeply about it, you can also actually come up with different interpretations of sentences, right? And that's actually the whole concept on which a whole lot of poems and songs are based, right? A different lines of different poems or songs can be interpreted in different ways by different people depending on their life experiences or their bias towards certain interpretations, right? And this is what is highlighted. by the richness and the ambiguity of natural languages. This can be true for any language. It can be Hindi, it can be Tamil, Marathi, anything. Okay. And to answer your question, I think you can think of it, unless it's explicitly specified that you think of answer it in terms of like a machine or human, you can assume that you can answer it in terms of whatever you are thinking as a human.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the question. Okay, so now let's move on to the sixth question, which is a slight variation of this.
Sir, little bit loud, sir.
Okay, thanks for pointing that out. Maybe the mic had moved away from me, so I think, yeah, it should be better now.
We are not able to listen to you properly.
Okay, is it clearer now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. All right, so this is the sixth question, which is, you see a slight reframing of the same question, but here we are replacing Lily with Harry.
He was in bad mood.
Answer
Yeah.
A.
Yeah, that's right. Here we know that Harry is typically the name of a male person, right? So we can assume without any doubt that she over here, which is typically used for female people, for females, right, it's specifically referring to Elizabeth. So here there is no ambiguity.
But sir,
Here
can't we apply the same logic here and say that based on our experiences, we can say
தூரவுல
that
உடம்பு
Harry
சும்மா
is a
வச்சுக்கலாம்
male?
எக்ஸாம் எழுத வேணா கண்டிப்பா
Isn't it a
சேர்ந்து
bias?
ஆகணுமாமா
Hey,
ஆனா
so
மேடம் தான் சொன்னாங்க
once again, I'll request that if you
சும்மா
don't have
தேரா
a doubt, please mute yourself. And I'll prefer if you can speak in English, because I unfortunately do not understand the language that you're speaking. So if you have a doubt, I won't be able to address it.
So, sir, I was asking that
Uh-huh.
here also can't we use the same logic and say that based on our experiences, Harry is a male and we are having this bias? Can't it be a female as well? And we will go back to the same question as earlier.
See, that will be an unrealistic bias, right? Sure, you can think of it in that way as well, but typically Harry usually refers to a male. I'm not saying that it's restricted to a male's name. Sure, there can be females with the name Harry, but that is not really that typical, right? It's a very rare event, I would say. So if you put it in mathematical terms, just to say, like, just for the sake of it, you can say that the probability of that being, let's say, very low, and the probability of the normal thing happening is very high. Whereas in the previous example, there was equal probability of all cases happening. That's why the ambiguity was more pronounced in the previous example, whereas in this one, it's more apparent that this is a specific interpretation.
Sir, I want to.
Yeah, you had a question. Please go ahead.
In this question 6, mention because, so the answer is changed, right?
Yeah, this one has a different answer. So here option B is correct. Here both the she in the sentence are referring to the same person, which is Elizabeth.
But this question, Elizabeth told Harry that she scolded him because. So because were giving this statement, so the answer is change Elizabeth and Elizabeth respectively.
Yeah, so this statement basically translates to that Elizabeth. So Elizabeth and Harry are two people, okay? And Elizabeth was angry. Elizabeth was in a bad mood. That's why she ended up scolding this person called Harry. That can happen, right? Sometimes when you're not in a good mood, you ended up taking out your frustration on someone else. It might be an example of something like that.
Last question and this question only difference that last statement given C and C, and this statement gives C and because.
No, in both cases you have she and she only. The only difference is that you have replaced Lily from the previous sentence with Harry, and that helps us in a way that Harry is typically the name of a male person. That's the only difference. That's what. So you can say that is additional information that is available to us, and that is helping us reach a particular conclusion.
Maybe that makes difference between a human intelligence and an artificial intelligence.
Yeah,
What I can say.
yeah, very
Like
rightly
machine.
said. Yeah.
Sir,
Okay.
here Hari, this is the name of a men. It is where it was not mentioned, no?
Yeah, it's not mentioned, but it's typical. So we are making that. We are giving ourselves the liberty to make that assumption.
So one more thing here, she may be a third person apart from Elizabeth and Harry, right?
Okay. But that also is an unlikely event, right? Why would
That
Harry
is
be
also possible,
scolded
right?
because someone else was in a bad mood? That will be unfair towards Harry, right?
Yeah, she here she may
That's
be
the
third
pretty
person
one.
also.
That's the pretty one.
Yeah.
But
So
in
you
that
cannot
case,
say
if
it's the correct
there's a
answer.
third person, I think we would use
Yeah.
that person's
Sir,
name. I think.
I agree with your point of view that that could be again another interpretation. Yeah, thanks for muting. Yeah, that could be another interpretation, but again, as I was saying, that is a highly unlikely thing situation, right? So because it's not
that
that
is
typical.
possible in long way, right?
Sir, I would like to ask a simple question. The
Mm-hmm.
problem of gender's identity that is arising today in some countries.
Uh-huh.
If given an AI is not given understanding whether to assume some genders of particular persons, assessing some machines which are being used using AI.
Mm-hmm.
What are the training techniques we have to keep in mind so that it does not interpret this gender identification for any person?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Vinny. Thanks for pointing that out. So, yeah, as you pointed out, if we want to make our AI model better, we need to supply it with sufficient information. And how we supplied information is in terms of data. So, if you want it to not make mistakes, you need to provide it examples where, let's say, these things are interpreted in different ways in different countries. Let's say, okay. And if you provide it enough information, hopefully the model will learn itself from the examples that you're giving it to interpret those things and act accordingly or give decisions accordingly. Not that's not to say that the AI model will be correct all the time. There will always be errors. But the more examples you provide to the AI model, the more better it will the more it will improve basically. But that the training and testing is something that is a very small section of AI. Not a very small, I mean, it's a very well talked and very well hyped section these days. It's pattern recognition and machine learning basically. But in this course, we are not concerning ourselves with the typical training and testing of and using of data driven approaches to AI, right? This course is more about the logical reasoning and the theoretical aspects of AI. Okay, so if I have to show you an in terms of a Venn diagram, it will be something like this. So you can think that this is, oops, sorry about that. This is everything that is in AI, and this is the so-called machine learning or deep learning and so on and so forth.
Machine learning.
Okay, so here in this course, we will not
Wait,
go too
wait,
much into details of these things. We'll mostly be concerned about these things.
sorry, Kamalji.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, Kamalji, for interrupting. Will we be going through the concepts of neural networks as well in this course? Just a query.
No, we won't.
Thank you.
Yeah. But
Thank
if
you
you
so
are
much.
interested in that, I would recommend there are separate courses on NPTEL for that. There's a very good course or multiple good courses on pattern recognition and machine learning. You can always go through that if you are interested in exploring those aspects of AI.
सर आपका एक मतलब कोर्स ये आईआईटी मद्रास का एक पेड कोर्स सर आपका मतलब यही मतलब यूनिवर्सिटी का डेटा साइंस विद मशीन लर्निंग का कोर्स
So there are courses from multiple institutes. There is one from IIT Madras. There's another from another institute also. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, there are multiple courses. You can go through the list and you can decide for yourself which ones you see that seems best to you.
मतलब वो भी
one
एनपीटीईएल के अंदर ही आना है वो वाला कोर्स भी जो है वो मतलब यही आईआईटी मद्रास का ही दिखा रहा है वो भी
Yeah, you can surely go through that. And in the interest of time, I'll just quickly pose the 7th question, and yeah, then we can discuss this. Okay. Yeah, to address your query, yeah, there are multiple courses on different topics offered by different institutes, uh, which could be IIT Madras, which could be IIT Kharagpur, which could be different institutes. And you can go through the course materials, you can go through a few example recordings, lectures, and whichever you think is the most, is the better for you, for your particular interest, you can go with that. Okay, yeah, coming back to the questions. So, yeah. So here we are given in another sentence. Here we are told the Millennium Falcon overtook the Imperial Cruiser because it was too fast. Now, here we are asked to asked basically, what does that it refer to? Okay. Now here the
Option D.
okay. Are you sure?
It must be option B,
Yes,
Millennium
sir.
Falcon.
Yeah. So if you
Option D.
think, yeah, if you think about it, the key word over here is Millennium Falcon overtook the Imperial Cruiser, right? So whenever something overtakes something, it makes sense that thing would be faster, right? Otherwise, how would it overtake that thing?
So option B is right.
Option B.
Yeah.
So the correct answer is option B.
Yeah, all of you are correct. Option B is the correct answer here because the Millennium Falcon overtook the Imperial Cruiser because the Millennium Falcon was too fast. Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
here before only Imperial Cruiser was faster, no sir. That's why Millennium Falcon was overtaking it.
So Imperial Cruiser could have been moving with its own speed. Okay, we are not concerned with that. But in order for the Millennium Falcon to overtake it, it must be going faster than the Imperial Cruiser, right? That's why we are saying that it was too fast for the Imperial Cruiser in a
Okay.
relative sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So this was, I think, pretty straightforward, and we'll see another example of kind of a similar sentence itself. Now we are told that the Millennium Falcon overtook the Imperial Cruiser because it was too slow. Now, what would have been slow?
Imperial Cruiser.
Yeah,
Imperial.
exactly.
Closer.
Exactly. So in this
Okay.
case, just by changing one word, the last word from fast to slow, the meaning of the word of the sentence changed. Here, the it is now referring to the Imperial Cruiser, which all of you correctly pointed out. Okay, great. Now coming to the 9th question. So we saw a couple of these questions that highlighted the ambiguity or the impreciseness or the richness of natural languages. And
But
if
please
you
understand last question.
you want to revisit the last question,
Yes.
sure. So yeah. So here basically what we are told in the sentence is that there's a ship called Millennium Falcon, which is overtaking another ship called the Imperial Cruiser because it was too slow. Now, when the Millennium Falcon is overtaking something else, it makes sense to assume that the other thing was too slow, right? That's why the Millennium Falcon was able to overtake it. That's why we are able to conclude that the it over here is referring to the Imperial Cruiser. The Imperial Cruiser was too slow. That's why the Millennium Falcon was able to overtake it. So I hope that helps with your doubt. Okay, so question 9 basically tells us that in the last few questions we saw some examples that depict the impreciseness or the richness or the ambiguity in natural languages. And uh, if you revisit the lectures or if you have already watched the lectures, you would recall that this has been used in the context of a specific topic or a specific concept, which is which of these options? Yeah, some of you are already answering it. It is in the context of a concept called anaphora resolution. Okay, so this example, like the Imperial Cruiser and the Millennium Falcon one, this is an example of an anaphora resolution, and you can expect that you might have some questions like this in your week 1 quiz as well. Okay.
Can
don't understand this question.
Sorry, can you come again?
I don't understand
what amphora resolution stands for?
Ankit, I still can't hear you. Can you maybe type your question in the chat box?
What is the meaning of this question?
You mean to ask what is anaphora? Okay, so that basically refers to I would say a type of set of sentences, but yeah, I would recommend that you revisit the lectures. There, it's explained by Professor Deepak Kemane in a pretty efficient manner. Okay. So I've just put in the speech resolution option just for the sake of it. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. So I just wanted to emphasize through this question that anaphora resolution is what we were dealing with in the last few questions.
Anaphora.
It basically refers to the set of sentences that, like the ones that we were looking at just now, right? The ones where you the changing of one or two words in a sentence reverses the meaning of the sentence or changes the meaning of the sentence basically, or changes what a particular word in the sentence is referring to. Like we saw that changing fast to slow in the previous example changed what that particular word it was referring to, right? Earlier it was referring to the Millennium Falcon and later it was referring to the Imperial Cruiser. You can also just Google search anaphora and you'll find a lot of examples about it. Okay. So that was about anaphora resolution. Now let's move on to a different kind of problems. Okay, so for the first couple of questions, we discussed some robot and put down and pick up action questions. Then we discussed some questions related to anaphora resolution. Now we are going to discuss another type of questions, which is this water jug puzzle. Okay, so first of all, are any of you familiar with what this puzzle is? Okay, maybe not. So I'll just go through the rules of this particular puzzle. Okay. Yeah, Deepak, you're right. The three jug problem. Some of you might have already gone through it or already know a bit about it. So basically, on the left hand side, we are given an initial configuration of three jugs. Okay, and these three jugs have different capacities and we can fill water up to different quantities. Okay, so the first one, we can fill 7 liters of water in this, the leftmost jug. In the middle one, we can fill 5 liters of water, and in the rightmost one, we can just fill 2 liters of water. Okay, so remember that. So we have the total configuration from 7, 5, and 2. But in this case, we are in the initial state, we are just given the one of the jugs that's completely filled with water, and that's the 7-liter jug. So we represent this in terms of this particular tuple, which is 700. So this 7 basically means that the first jug on the left hand side is completely filled with 7 liters of water, and the other two jugs have 0 and 0 liters of water in them respectively. And our goal is to reach this particular configuration where the leftmost jug has only 1 liter of water, the middle jug is completely filled with 5 liters of water, and the rightmost jug also has 1 liter of water. So we want to go from 700 to 151. And how we are going to do that is through a certain set of rules. The rules are that you can completely, okay, so you can't take out a certain specific quantity of water from a particular jug. You can either completely empty it or completely fill it with whatever quantity you have. So, for example, if you want to pour out this 7 liters of water from the leftmost jug to the middle jug, you will only be able to fill it up till its quantity, which is still 5 liters. Okay, and you will be left with 2 liters in the leftmost jug after that. Similarly, if you want to completely fill this rightmost jug from this particular 7-liter jug, you will have to pour some water and you will have to completely fill it till 2 liters. You can't specifically take out, let's say, 1 liter of water from the 7-liter of jug and then place it in the rightmost jug. That is not allowed. Okay, so is the problem statement and the rules clear?
Sir, what are the capacities of to be filled with 5-liter waters and 1-liter water?
So each of these jugs have their own capacities. Okay, the capacities, if you completely fill all the jugs with all the waters, then the configuration would be 752, which basically means that the leftmost jug has 7-liter maximum capacity, the middle jug has 5-liter maximum capacity, and the rightmost has 2-liter maximum capacity. Okay.
What is the quantity of available water, sir?
Available water is only 7 liters,
Only,
which is the
only 7 liters.
in the initial state what is given to you, right? Okay, 700 is given to you, so you only have 7 liters of water in the leftmost jug.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I tell the sir?
Okay, so I see a couple of you are already giving some answers. Okay, some of you are giving correct answers, some of you are slightly off, but that's fine. We'll discuss the solution anyway. Okay, so let me do one thing. Okay, so basically this question asks, what the question asks is, what is the least number of transfers or moves required to reach the final state, which is 151. Now how we can do that? Let me show that using the Jamboard. Okay, so let me just draw the configuration that we are starting with. Okay, so this one had full 7 liters of water. And what we want to reach is this configuration where this has only 1 liter of water, this has complete 5 liters of water, and this also has 1 liter of water. Okay, so the quantity still remains the same. Okay, here we had 7, here we also have 1 plus 5 plus 1, which is 7. Now how we are going to reach from here to here is, first what we are going to do, does anyone have a suggestion?
5 liter first.
Exactly, yeah, we can
With
do
full
that.
capacity.
Yeah, we can just pour this into this particular jug. And so the next configuration that we are going to have is, this will be left with 2 liters of water in that case, right? This will be completely filled with 5 liters of water.
Yes, sir.
And this will still be empty. Right, so now we have moved from 700 to 250. Now what should we do?
So pour 2 liter of jug into 1 liter of jug.
Okay, but what that will result in 052.
Sir, but the last jugs have only 1 liter capacity.
No. Last jug has 2 liter capacity. Yeah.
So pour 5
Pour
liters
1
into
liter from
2
7
liter.
liter jug, sir.
Pour how much?
5 liter into
1
10
liter
liters
of
jug.
No, you can't pour 1
232
liter.
is the next. 232 is the next configuration.
Okay. And how are you going to achieve that?
Yeah, a 5-liter jug will pour 2 liters of water into the third one, and the 3 will be the remaining amount of, or the volume of the water left in the second jug. So 232 is the next state.
Okay, fine. So here we have
232.
Okay, this will completely be filled in that case. So this will have 2 liters of water. Okay, fine. How to move from here then?
Four 1 2.
Next state is 502. 502 is the next state. That is, first jug will have 5 liters, and the second will be emptied, and the third one will again remaining as 2 liter. So this will be the next state.
Okay. What I'll do one thing. I'll show you a certain thing, which is called a state diagram.
Sir, explain this question only.
Yeah, I'll explain this question, but I'll show you a certain way in which you can also try to solve this if you haven't already. Okay. So what
Yeah,
you
there
can
are
do is
multiple answers to it.
yeah. So what you can do is basically you can list all the possible states that could exist. Okay, in this particular problem, given the problem rules and the rules of pouring waters. Okay, so this is the state space configuration. So the boxes over here represent the different states which could be present. So this is our initial state 700. Okay, and these are the different possible states, and these arrows basically indicate that you could move from one state to another, and you'll see that some of these arrows do not have an arrowhead, which means that you can go back and forth from those states. For example, you can go from 250 to 700, right? If you just pour these 5 liters from the middle jug to the leftmost jug, you'll reach 700, and you can go from 700 to 250 as well, right? Some of these arrowheads have a particular direction of arrow, which means you can only go in one particular direction, not the other way around. Okay, so just that was just to clarify. Now, given this particular state space configuration, uh, can you come up with a way to go from 700 to our goal state, which was 151?
So how did you come up with the states? Is it randomly or is there any formula to get the number of states?
So for a small problem like this one, you can just manually write down all the possible solutions. For if it's a very complicated problem, maybe not this one, not the water jug one, but some other problem. Let's say you are dealing with not just three things, but let's say thousands of objects. Then it's better to use some heuristic or some algorithm to solve that particular problem. But for this case, you can just manually write down all the possible states that could exist in this case.
Sir, how did you arrive at 331 and 421 state? I don't see any undirected arrow towards the states or
Exactly,
any.
yeah. That's a good observation. So the reason is that these particular states are ones that could exist, but you cannot reach this particular state. Okay, you can only go from this particular state to uh, another state. That's why they have no incoming edges towards them. So this was also actually one of the questions that I was supposed to discuss later on, but I think that it's better to discuss it now so that it's more clear to you. So here this question asks what is the size of the state space, number of states basically in the 752 water jug puzzle. 752 basically referring to the full capacities of the three jugs. So if you consider all the nodes or all the boxes on the outer side, these are 14 of those, and there are 4 blue boxes. So 14 if you consider only the states that are reachable from this starting position 700. If you let's say had some other starting position, then you could also count these 4 blue boxes. Okay, so in that case it will be 18, otherwise it's only 14. That's why there are only outgoing edges from these particular blue boxes, but you don't need not worry about these blue boxes right now for this particular configuration of final state, because we won't be going through them. I'm already telling you that.
Sir, for our question, how about we can look onto the left side circumferences starting from 700 to 151?
Yeah, you could do that. So you see, so the question asks what is the least number of transfers that you need, that you require, right? So you can do that. You can go this way. Okay, 700 to 250, that will be one transfer. Then 250 to 232, another transfer. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, but if you go the other way, in that way you would take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transfers only, right? So the other way is the shorter way, which is from 700 you first move to 502, which is basically you pour 2 liters of water in the rightmost jug. Okay, so this the leftmost becomes 5, middle one remains 0, and the rightmost becomes 2. Then from 502 you go to 520, which is you pour the rightmost into the middle jug. Then from 520 you go to 322, which is again you uh, fill the rightmost to its full capacity from the leftmost jug. So you reach 322, and from 322 you go to 340, and from 340 you go to 142, and from 142 you go to 151. Okay, I'll give you a moment to go through this state space and convince yourself that this is in fact the least number of transfers that you could take to go from 700 to 151.
How we got the answer 18 is not clear.
18. So this is a different question. 18 is basically the number of states that could exist. So if you count all these boxes, including the blue ones, then you'll come to 18.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
कमल जी एक query है regarding like can we download videos of Professor Khmani right now like for the coming 12 weeks?
You can check on the Swayam portal. If there is an option to download, I think you might be able to. I'm not very sure, but just check it up.
No, it is not there, sir. I have already explored.
Then I don't think there is a way. But
Maybe
you can
after
still...
maybe after the completion of the week, we are able to get the link of downloading the lectures for that particular week.
I'm not
you,
sure.
you can just download them from the NPTEL portal. There you have download option.
Okay. Thanks,
Okay.
Ankit, for pointing that
Thank
out.
you, Ankit ji. Thank you so much, Ankit ji. Thank you, Kamal ji.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, I think that this was pretty clear, right? So I hope everyone is convinced that we need 6 transfers to go from the from the initial state to the final state. Okay. Yeah. So oops, I think I might have already showed you the answers to the next following questions, but that's all right. We can still solve it. Okay, so this is 6. Everyone convinced about this one?
Yes.
Okay.
So do we always have to exhaust all our options to check out the best one? Because here the answer can be 6 or 7 based on the path that a student took.
That's a very good question, Ankit. So in the in some of the coming weeks, you will be learning some algorithms that will help you to automatically find the most optimal way to reach a particular final state. So you won't have to go through exhaustively all possible solutions, because if the number of objects is exponentially large, okay, the number of possible solutions will also be exponentially large. So in that case, it wouldn't make sense to list out all the options and then select the one that is the most optimal. So in maybe some of the coming weeks, I'm not exactly sure which week, maybe after week 2 or something, or maybe from week 2 itself, I'm not sure. You'll learn some algorithms that will help you or give you some idea about how to find the optimal path without going through all the possible options.
Sir, I would like to ask a simple question.
Yeah, Vinny.
But if there are two paths that consist of same steps, for example, both path A and B consist of 3 steps to our final destination.
Sure.
Won't then will the machine will be in confusion either to choose which one?
Then it will randomly select one of those.
Oh, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So it actually depends on the type of algorithm that you're using. Some of the algorithm will get confused, and that's a shortcoming of that algorithm. So in that case, you'll have to move on to some other algorithm that does not face the same issue. Okay. anyways, but you'll see those things in the coming week, so don't worry about that. All right, so yeah, let's move on to the next question then. So that was okay, so now we have um, now we are kind of reversing the situation. Okay, let's say we moved from 700 to 151. Now we want to go back from 151 to 700. Do you think we still need 6 transfers, or is there a shortcut that we can take to go from 151 to 700?
The simplest
We can do
two
it in
steps. You
two.
have to pour that 5 liters into that
There's
7 liters
simple
jar
two
and 1
ways.
liter into the 7 liters jar, so that it will get filled in
Two.
2 moments.
Okay, yeah, that's
Two
yeah.
moves.
Thanks for the answer. That's very impressive. And yeah, to all of you have also written in the chat box as well. Yeah, you are correct. We don't need to go through the 6 transfers all over again. There's a shortcut. We can just take 2 transfers, and that would suffice. Yeah. If I just revisit the state space diagram that you were talking about, so we could simply go from. So what do you think? How can we go from here? So we could go from 151 to 052. Is it, or some other way? We could go from 151 to 250 and then to 700, right? That makes 2 transfers. Do you agree with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, agree, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Okay,
agree.
great.
Yes, there are two options to go to 700, 1516012 to 700, and then the other one which you said. Both are correct.
Yeah, yeah, rightly pointed out. There are multiple ways to reach them. Both of them take 2 transfers itself. Okay. So now that we discussed that, I think we have implicitly discussed the answers to questions 13 and 14. So this question asks what is the size of the state space in the 752 water jug puzzle, which we just saw is 14. If you consider only the states reachable from the initial state given to us, otherwise it's 18. If we include the blue boxes as well.
Sir, can you walk through how we constructed this state space diagram here?
Sure. So for simple problems, what you could do is you could, okay, start with your 700 state. Okay, you think about the what are the other states that could exist. Okay, that could exist given that you are following the rules that are given to you. Okay, for example, you can't go from 700 to something like 601. That is not allowed because you can't pour out or take out 1 liter of water from uh, the leftmost jug and pour it in the rightmost jug. That is not allowed. So you start from this initial state. You think of the states that could be reachable from this particular state. That will give you, let's say, 250, and yeah, that will give you 250 and maybe 502. Now you have 2 more states, right? Or 2 more boxes. Now you think of what are the states that could be reachable from these states. So you'll get a few more states, and then you keep doing that until and unless you have exhausted all possible states that could exist. That's the way you construct these particular state space diagrams.
So what about the blue states? For the black, definite, but what about the blue? Because they don't have an origin now.
Yeah, so the reason this blue is mentioned in this particular diagram is, so this question, as I said, was from a previous offering of the course. And in that particular question, initially the blue boxes were not mentioned, but then some questions or some doubts were raised that there could be a configuration called 331, from which we could reach a configuration called 232. Okay, but that 331 is actually not reachable from 700. That maybe could be reachable from a different starting point. Okay, so or some
So,
or
in other words, that are the mathematical state that should exist because of this combination of 257
yeah,
plus
that's
minus and all.
yeah, just for the sake of completeness we are listing all these blue states. So yeah, these don't we are not concerned with these for solving the questions that are given to us as of now. Okay, this is just an example actually.
Basically, remaining 4 are like another different 4 questions where starting state is different with same number of 7 liters.
That could be different. You could start from let's say 331 itself is a starting state, and you want to reach some other state, let's say 052. That could be another problem, right? Yeah, that's why. Just for the sake of completeness, you have listed all the possible states that could exist. I'll actually show you another problem where you could think yourself and come up with a state space diagram yourself. Okay, so I'll show you that problem now.
Sir, I have a question before you proceed.
Uh-huh.
Just wanted to ask that when we are asked such questions like what is the number of states, then do we answer 14 in this case or do we say 18?
So usually when you are asked these kind of questions, it will be specifically mentioned to you that whether you only consider the states that are reachable from a particular starting point or not. In that case, you will answer only 14. So this particular issue, that this blue boxes were introduced because some people had some doubts. So some people had answered 18 because they had also considered these blue boxes. But since that was not concerned with the question that was asked, they were also given the points for that. That's how the blue boxes got introduced into this solution for the particular question that I just showed to you. But usually the exact specifics would be mentioned to you.
So means in traditional way, for the questions given, we don't have to consider the blue boxes if we don't want to.
You just have to look at the question. That's it. If the question asks you, mention the specifics of what you have to do, then you answer accordingly. Otherwise, you can make whatever assumption you want and answer accordingly. Okay, but usually the questions will be specific, so you won't have to worry about that. Okay. So we talked about the water jug puzzle. There's another problem called the missionary cannibal problem. Okay, so the the setting over here is that you have three missionaries, okay, and three cannibals. So as you know, the cannibals are the people who can eat other people as well. So this is a hypothetical situation, okay, and you have one boat and you have a river, and all of these six persons, the missionaries and the cannibals, they want to go to the other side of the river. But again, they have to do that in a manner where uh, no missionary and cannibal is present on the boat at the same time. Otherwise, the cannibal will end up eating the missionary. Right? So you can actually also let me just show you a actual more detailed solution to this. Not a solution, a setting to this particular problem. Yeah, so you can just revisit the Wikipedia page of this particular problem and you can go through this whole setting, take your time and see what are the exact rules that you must follow in order for all of them to reach from the left hand side of the river to the right hand side of the river. Okay, so I would encourage all of you to construct the state space for that and try to find the optimal path for achieving your goal, that is reaching from the left hand side of the river to right hand side of the river. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll give you maybe 5 minutes to try to come up with a temporary solution. Even if you're not able to construct the whole state space right now, that's fine, but I'll give you 5 minutes to go through the or try to come up with a temporary solution to this particular problem. Okay, and then we can discuss it.
How many person can be accommodated vote in one time?
Two at most, bro.
Yeah, thanks for that, Vineet, and thanks for the question as well. I'm sorry I missed your name. Yeah, so at most two people on the board at one point of time. You can actually revisit the Wikipedia page and look at the problem statement, and yeah, that also has a solution. But I would encourage you to not look at the solution first. First, try to come up with the solution yourself, and then maybe we can discuss the solution.
Sir, is it necessary for us to fulfill the board with two people? Can't we perform with one people at a time?
But both must have to come back if there are remaining people.
Yeah, so the problem says that you can have at most two people in the boat, right? So you can also have a case where there's only one person on the boat. Yeah, but there's only one boat. So yeah, as one of your friends pointed out, there's only one boat. So you can have one or two people on it. Yeah. Okay. So in the interest of time, we can discuss this problem. So they here in Wikipedia, it's stated the same problem is stated in terms of a jealous husband's problem. Is the same problem, just a different context basically, and the same solution applies to both problems. So what first happens in the first case, one of the missionary and one of the cannibals crosses over to the other side. Then one of them comes back, okay, in the next step. Then two of the other kind again go. Then again one of them comes back. Also, you need to make sure that the boat has at least one person so that it comes back from the other side, right? Yeah. Then this person sits off and the other two from the other group cross. So you proceed so on and so forth, and ultimately you reach a state where all the six are on the other side of the river.
But sir, you said that yourself that if a cannibal is placed along with the missionary, he will eat them.
Ah, yeah. So yeah, sorry about that. I think I might have gotten confused with another problem in that case, which is I think a goat and a tiger problem. So there are a lot of these problems, and yeah, I apologize for that. Yeah, so in that case, that doesn't
If
apply.
they are same number of members, it's not a problem. There should not be more than the uh, missionaries.
Yeah, I think let's revisit the problem setting, and that will make it clearer. Uh, just give me a
So, but
minute.
how do we know that we have exhausted all the possible ways here? Because we are
Uh,
just following one of the path, now.
So I showed you a particular path because this is a solution, but I will encourage you to come up with different possible ways to reach this configuration. So here you could represent your configuration in terms of how many people, so you could have a number of things to represent your configuration. You could represent the number of missionaries on the left hand side of the river and the number of cannibals on the right hand side of the river, and simply for the number of basically the number of missionaries and cannibals on the left hand side and the right hand side of the river, and the number of people in the boat. Okay, so in that case, your initial configuration would be three missionaries on the left hand side, three cannibals on the left hand side, zero missionaries and cannibals on the right hand side, and zero people on the boat. You can see what are the different states you could reach from here. Okay, and that's how you can construct the state space diagram. Okay, yeah. So if you just go through this particular problem statement, I think your doubts will be resolved. Okay, so yeah, I'll let you go through this. You can take your own time to go through this, come up with your solutions later on. You still have quite a bit of time. Um, that brings us to an end of the questions for this live session, and I would like to thank all these people mentioned over here. This are the acknowledgements, and we will meet in the next week with questions based on week 2 content of the course. So we have like 5-10 more minutes. Is there some specific doubt that you want me to address?
Sir, do any means previous student have created a notes for this topic or so?
I'm not sure. So if you know some previous student who has taken this course before, you can ask them. But yeah, I am not aware of anyone like that. Sorry. Yeah, so answer your queries, the other queries in the chat box. Yes, the presentations will be made available to you through the same link that I was talking about, along with the lecture video recordings or the live session video recordings. The solutions will be made available to you.
Sir, I have one doubt regarding the weekly assignments.
Regarding which assignments?
Regarding the weekly assignments,
Uh-huh.
their focus will be on the subject matter which we have studied in that week or everything prior to that week.
Just that week. For example, if you're solving the assignment for week 1, that will only have questions relevant to week 1. If you're solving assignments from week 2, that will have questions relevant to week 2. Of course, there could be that week 2 discusses some concepts that require knowledge of the concept that were discussed in a previous week. Okay, so that for sure applies. Yeah, so to answer, yeah, thanks, Prashant. So yeah, to answer some of the questions that
I've
have
got a
been,
question, please. I've got a question.
yes, yeah, please
This
go ahead.
missionaries and cannibals problem.
Mm-hmm.
See, the state that we have to take, is it that the left we have the left side of the river and the right side of the river, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the states, it's okay that we take only the left side of the things, right?
But for the intermediate states, you also need information on the right hand side, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need to show the the changes from left to right, right?
Yeah.
Because see, at the initial stage, we'll be having 3 missionaries and 3 cannibals at the left,
Mm-hmm.
and next it will become 3 missionaries at the left and 1 cannibal at the left.
That
The
could be an
state
intermediate
changes from
states. Yeah, state
the
changes.
change. Yeah, the change can be from 3,3 to 3,1.
Change could be in either direction. You could also
Okay.
have someone going from the right hand side to the left hand side, but whether that would be
Yes.
relevant to the shortest or optimal path is what we have to see.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, just to quickly address some of the doubts on the chat box. So those of you who joined in later, don't worry. The recording will be shared with you. You can revisit the questions that you missed over there. Yeah, there are some algorithms that could get stuck in a loop. And yeah, that is a shortcoming of that algorithm. And yeah, there are more better algorithms out there that will not get stuck. So yeah, depends on the question problem that you're trying to solve. You'd have to choose a particular algorithm based on that. Okay, so with that, I think we can end today's session. Thanks all for joining, and uh, we'll meet next week again. Okay, see you all. Have a good rest of the evening.
Thank you, sir.
Bye
Bye
sir.
bye.
Thank you, sir.
You too, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so